The betrayal ripped through me before we even left the airport. My wife, my brand new wife, ditched our honeymoon, our dream honeymoon, to rush to her ex, claiming an emergency. Just a month after we tied the knot, our long-awaited honeymoon was finally here. I was buzzing with excitement, already at the airport, picturing our perfect escape. The plan was a bit annoying from the start. My wife, a total workaholic, had a crucial client meeting that morning, so I went ahead, and she was supposed to drive straight from her office to meet me. I was already pretty miffed about that, honestly. I thought she could have just postponed that meeting, for our honeymoon's sake. But I swallowed it. Then her text came. Just a text. Not a call, not an explanation. Just a blunt message saying she couldn't make it because her ex-husband had texted her about an emergency situation he was in. My blood ran cold. Her ex? On our honeymoon day? I just lost it. All the built-up frustration, all the little annoyances about her work obsession, it all exploded. I didn't respond. Not a single word. Instead, in a fit of pure, unadulterated rage, I hopped on the next available flight to a completely different destination, to my brother's place. For 3 days she didn't stop apologizing. She sent countless messages trying to explain, but I ignored them all. Until yesterday. Yesterday my brother, seeing how utterly miserable I was, dragged me out to a club. We danced, we got drunk, and as the night went on, a petty, vengeful idea sparked in my mind. I took a bunch of photos of myself, laughing, dancing, clearly having a blast, and sent them to her. I wanted her to feel a fraction of the pain she'd inflicted on me. But, of course, that backfired spectacularly. She went and told everyone in our families. Now, instead of her being the bad guy, I was the one getting scolded for being insensitive and disregarding a genuine emergency. And what was this emergency that warranted ditching our honeymoon? Her ex had tripped and twisted his ankle. His elderly parents don't live in the same state, but come on. He couldn't have called any of his other friends? He chose my wife, his ex-wife, to take him to the ER. After I landed at my brother's, her text became more detailed, explaining the whole thing. But it only made me angrier. He could have called anyone else on this planet. Yet he called her. And she chose to ditch our honeymoon for this. The worst part? She didn't even have the decency to call me. She texted. And she didn't feel the need to explain anything until after she had dealt with his situation. That's what really bugged me. This wasn't her situation to deal with. She could have called one of their mutual friends, sent them to him. That's what I would have done. She knows I don't like her ex, so why would she risk it? But everyone around me, including my own family, kept saying I was being too sensitive, that my jealousy was making me look pathetic and insecure. I didn't agree then, and I still don't. He should have called someone else, and she absolutely should not have gone, especially at the cost of our honeymoon. But with all the family pressure, I started to wonder if I had gone a little too overboard with my reaction. By the way, if you're still with me, make sure to hit subscribe. More unbelievable stories are coming, and you won't want to miss them. The truth is, this wasn't just about the twisted ankle. This whole incident just tore open a much deeper wound. For months now, even before we got married, I'd felt like she was taking me for granted. Since we got engaged, her work obsession had become insane. She was working like crazy for a promotion, even considering postponing our wedding until after she got it. I had to put my foot down then. We'd been having petty fights, little bickering, always circling back to her being consumed by work. I tried to stay calm, thinking it was a phase, that she'd ease up after the wedding. Clearly I was wrong. So, when people called me insecure about her ex, they didn't know the whole story. And frankly, I don't blame them because on the surface I probably looked like the bad guy. But I have my reasons. She and her ex have a very complicated history. They dated in college, got married at 23, stayed married for 3 years, then divorced amicably due to incompatibility. 2 years later I met her. She was always upfront, saying he was an important part of her life, and they remained friends. I wasn't insecure before I met him. I trusted her completely. But that first meeting, it made me deeply uneasy. They had this college friend group that met every couple of months. After we'd been together for almost a year, she took me to meet them. I knew her ex would be there. I tried to mentally prepare. First it was fine. He was warm, seemed nice. But as the evening wore on, things got incredibly weird. I can't quite explain it, but it became glaringly obvious that he was not over her. He monopolized her attention all night, pouted if she didn't give him enough, and honestly, he acted like I didn't even exist. The drunker he got, the less inhibited he became. By the end of the night, I was beyond uncomfortable. I made my feelings very clear to my wife. She initially pretended not to know what I was talking about, but when she saw how upset I was, she admitted he'd been acting weird. She swore it was the first time since their divorce, suggesting he might just be insecure because I was there. I could understand that. They had been together for a long time. It must be hard to see her with someone else. I trusted my wife, and I knew that if I told her she couldn't see him anymore, it would devastate her. She doesn't have many friends at work, and she moved a lot as a kid, so this college group was pretty much all she had. I couldn't expect all her friends to ditch him for my feelings, especially since no one else seemed to notice his weird behavior. So I didn't make a big deal out of it. She continued to meet her friends, and though I knew her ex was there, I stopped going. At our wedding, we invited him. It felt wrong to exclude him if we invited their whole friend circle, and I didn't want him to think I was insecure. To my surprise, he behaved perfectly that day, stayed mostly to himself, and was even nice to me. I thought finally things were cool. Then this happened. It was too much of a coincidence. All her friends knew about our honeymoon. Yet, on that specific day he gets hurt? And he calls her, not one of their other friends who lives blocks away? And she drives all that way, ditches our honeymoon, instead of asking one of their closer friends to help? This, combined with her workaholic tendencies and our constant fighting, it just broke me. The absolute worst part was her text. She didn't call. She just texted, as if I was supposed to just understand. Yes, I flew to my brother's out of anger. I didn't want to be alone, stewing in my misery. And honestly, I felt completely justified. She had already decided our honeymoon was off. If she truly wanted to apologize, to make it up to me, she should have gotten on a flight herself and come to me. She knew where I was posting stories with my brother. She knows I'm a sucker for grand romantic gestures. If she had shown up, genuinely remorseful, I probably would have forgiven her. But instead, after I sent those photos meant to make her feel bad, not to escalate things to our families, she ran and told everyone. And now I was the bad guy. I hadn't complained to her parents, so why did she feel the need to drag mine into it? My brother was my only solace, defending me to our parents, who, after hearing the full story, finally conceded I had a point. Still, her parents were texting me, telling me to apologize for being petty. And my wife? Silence. After those pictures, she just stopped trying to contact me. I bought a ticket to fly home, hoping to talk to her in person, because phone calls and texts weren't going to fix this. My parents had told me that if I wanted this marriage to work, I'd have to suck it up and talk to her first to break the ice. But I wasn't sure I wanted to do that. I didn't feel at fault. Yes, sending the pictures was petty, but her complaining to our parents was just as petty. I loved her, I still do, and I desperately wanted our marriage to work. But love isn't enough. I needed to know she respected me, my feelings, my opinions. And right now she was treating my anger so casually, I didn't think she was taking me seriously at all. My brother, bless his heart, told me to stay with him longer, until she showed up, or until I decided to move on. I was tempted, so incredibly tempted, to make her chase me to teach her a lesson. But I didn't want to be that petty. We'd been together for so long, we were married. We'd always worked through our problems. I wanted to try. My dilemma was she wasn't trying at all. I felt like it was all on me. I was rambling, needing to vent, just needing to figure out what to do. The thought of the alternative divorce was too horrifying to even voice. So I flew home, hoping we could sort this out. I arrived home early that morning. The house was locked. Immediately, a knot of dread tightened in my stomach. It was 8:21 a.m. She should have been home, getting ready for work. This was wrong. I let myself in, and the house looked like it hadn't been cleaned in days. Panic set in. I called her repeatedly, but no answer. Finally, around 9 a.m. she picked up. I told her I was home, asked where she was. She told me to stay put, she'd drive back. My first terrifying thought was that she must have been staying with her ex. And I knew with absolute certainty that if that was true, I was gone. No way I was staying with her after that. But like an idiot, a hopeful, desperate idiot, I still wanted to give her a chance to explain. Maybe, just maybe, there was an innocent, reasonable explanation. Minutes later, she walked through the door. Without wasting a breath, I confronted her. "Where have you been?" And then, just as I'd expected, the words that shattered everything. She calmly told me she'd been staying with her ex for the past few days. For almost a week. Since the day of our flight. She hadn't even thought it was important enough to mention. Or more likely, she deliberately hid it, knowing it would send me over the edge. I lost it. I screamed, my voice raw with disbelief and fury. She tried to get defensive, but I cut her off. "Have you been going to work?" I demanded. She confessed she'd been working from home. That was the final devastating straw. She had looked down on work-from-home culture, refused to take a few days off, or even just work from home for our wedding preparations, claiming this promotion was too important. But for her ex? For him, she'd bend all her rules. She tried to explain. His parents were too old, all their friends were too busy, she felt rude declining. She assured me she'd slept on the couch, that it was purely platonic. But it didn't matter. Not one bit. She could have been sleeping in his basement for all I cared. The fact was, she had hidden this monumental betrayal from me. And I, like a fool, had been beating myself up over those petty pictures I'd sent, while she was living with him. My pictures were nothing compared to this. And I'd faced the music for what I did. Now it was her turn. I hadn't even unpacked my bags. I just grabbed them and started walking out. She followed, still trying to explain, still trying to tell me she was just being a friend, that it would have been cruel to decline. I wasn't interested. I walked out the door, got into my car and drove straight to my parents' house. Once there, I told them everything. Every humiliating, heartbreaking detail. And without a second's hesitation, they told me that if I wanted to file for divorce, they would find me a lawyer. I agreed instantly. I blocked her number as soon as I got home. Her text still came through on email. "I'm so sorry you feel bad, but I just wanted to be there for my friend." Even in her apology, she was still sticking to her pathetic point. My blood boiled. Now looking back, I don't feel bad about anything I did. If anything, I was far less petty than I should have been. If I'd known she was staying with her ex, I would have gone all out to make her feel bad. But it's done. I'm speaking to a lawyer. She can go stay with her ex permanently now. I truly don't care anymore. It's been a few weeks now. I've officially filed for divorce, and she's not contesting it. She's even agreed to my terms, so hopefully this will be finalized soon. She did send me one last email, saying she was sorry things turned out this way, but she felt I'd become too insecure and jealous. She truly believes this is the best decision for us in the long run, because she can't make it work with this kind of person. That email absolutely infuriated me. Even now, she genuinely believes her actions were completely reasonable. Her parents even called mine, trying to lecture them about my behavior. But my parents quickly shut them down. I've decided to move in with my brother, and in a couple of weeks I'm even switching jobs. He helped me get a position at his company. It's a huge move, a complete fresh start, but I desperately need this. My friends and parents agree. I loved that woman so much, but she turned out to be a total disappointment. Honestly, I'm actually excited about my new life. I'll be closer to my brother, surrounded by people who truly support me, and I'm genuinely hopeful for the future. What would you have done if you found out your spouse had ditched your honeymoon to stay with their ex for a week? Tell me what you think. I really want to know.